podcast. It's another episode of Dave venturing off on a lark without me and seeing what he can find in the murder at the Wayhouse.
Yeah, it's like we're going to talk about an Empire player event called The Last Feast North: Murder at the Wayhouse.
Right.
Which was created by Splinter Spear Events.
Okay.
Splinter Spear Events, and they're a well-known like striding or steadying that go to Empire in Navarre. Turns out I know a bunch of them anyway, but it's like they've basically set up this event. A bit of a backstory about like who they are, I guess, or what they do. They've come into like they live in a pub.
Right.
That became basically abandoned during COVID for a variety of different reasons, which I won't go into now. But they were like, hey, we're living here. Why don't we do a LARP event? So it's like...
That's cool.
Cool, right?
Yeah.
So an actual pub as that kind of social area. And then having... So I get the feeling this is one of their first events. So it was like... A few things were a little bit rough around the edges, and they're the first ones to admit this. This is like a proto event of what they want to do in the future. So they had the sleeping arrangements were lots of people all in different rooms, all kind of bunked up together in their own little beds. I think that needs a little bit of work. Some of the lighting in the room need a little bit of work. So endeth the negatives,
right?
Okay, like I ended up bringing the bell tent, and I was in the back garden by myself in like early November because like why not sleep in the fucking freezing cold when you can possibly sleep inside? My friend Orion came with us. Our friend Orion came with us, so he bunked up with me. He was a delightful tent mate for the weekend, but it was up north in a place called Gainsborough, which is like maybe 2 hours north of here or whatever. So I was like, got my shit together. I was looking forward to like low key, no combat.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go and like have some gym bongos, have some fun. I'm not gonna like, I'm having a relaxed weekend this weekend.
It sounded like, the whole idea of some kind of murder mystery set in Empire is immediately arresting, and I was like super hyped about you going and to hear all of the stories and tales that would evolve from
both me, Dave, and me, Gellert, both of us were like, that's my character, Gellert. I was like, I just want to keep out of trouble. Okay? Like, I just want to get up there. I want to just have a nice social event. Kind of keep out of trouble, It didn't necessarily work out that way. But like, so basically it was 50 quid and they fed us.
Wow. That's really good.
So we got food. I'll quickly go over food briefly. They brought us some chips on the Friday, which was really nice. Just to have some snacks. But they made all this clear, by the way. But they gave us breakfast Saturday and Sunday. Wow. We had lunch. We had dinner. It was like... And the food was outrageously good. I just want to bring it up now in case I forget later. But like, hats off to the fucking kitchen crew. Really, really good. Wow. Yeah.
How many people roughly was it, like crew and players?
I think it was around 30 people total, I think. And it was, again, one of those... one of the cool things about those sort of events is where you can't quite tell who are NPCs, who are crew, who are involved in what's happening with the murder plot, all this stuff. So a lot of it was like... Actually, we'll talk about that once.
Sure, as it evolves, yeah.
Let's get into it, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of get there, set up... And we're like, we wait until like time in, and then me and Quill, who's Ryan's character, we walk in like we've just come in from the icy tundra, right? We're in this like Wayhouse, way far north. We're snowed in. It's like going to be everyone's stuck in here for a little while, proper what's it called? The Hateful Eight. Yeah, and like we were just like, here's this Wayhouse, and there were like a few familiar faces, and it was like, oh cool, like and there was a lot of like, oh, what brings you here? And everyone was good. Like I was literally going around to people and being like, oh, what brings you here? And then like everyone would be like, oh, I'm here because of this, or I'm here because of this, or whatever. And I was just like, my excuse was being ambassador. I was there to go and press the flesh, go and see what's going on, get people's opinions on stuff, let people know about the foreign service and what's going on with it and all this stuff, and that's why I was there.
Yeah.
And Quill was like my bodyguard, and he was like keeping me safe, you know, which I fucking love, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, kind of, it's so silly, but like Orion gives it like his all, as does the rest of my posse, my little entourage. And it's just so fun to be the ambassador, you know?
I should say, I got a little letter straight after this event from Orion Quill.
Yeah.
And it was so, like, cryptic in some of the things that happened. But just to see that, so people are aware that I know vague smatterings only, like, in-character smatterings of what's taken place. And it sounds very interesting.
I actually, it took me a little while to write the notes for this. And I literally went to Orion, like, hey, dude, like, I'm going to set up this document so I can, like, set up some notes for the episode or whatever. Like, can you help? He said, well, I wrote Talis a letter. And it's like, this letter is like, oh my God, it just brought back so many memories, of exactly what happened. But yeah, I can imagine someone that wasn't there, some of the information in this letter might be a little bit cryptic.
I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about, dude. And I had to respond to him like, OC, we're going to record the podcast soon, so I'm not going to respond to this till after the podcast so I don't spoil myself.
Okay, interesting. There are a few familiar faces there. We had Willem Tame for the Black Vigil, who's our friend in the Marches.
Yes. Yeah.
We had... Silver...
Yeah?
Your fucking golden boy.
Oh my God, Silver was there.
Your fucking golden boy. Oh, the apple of your eye. The fucking... the little cherished little boy that you have and you're... Oh, Silver, he's so great.
He is great, though.
He is great. Like, legit. Great. Yeah, Silver is awesome. But I did spend a lot of the weekend winding him up. Because such is my prerogative. Ridian from the Embercast was there.
Oh, amazing.
So that was nice to kind of hang out with him. There was a reporter from the Oathright called Silk, who he's a Navari. Yeah, he's a really good lad. But really cool guy. It's always funny. Like, the Oathright wrote an article on me, which some of it was correct, some of it was not. Some of it had my toes over the irons a little bit, but like generally, like I've got a good relationship with a lot of reporters, and I like generally being like interacting with them, so it's kind of fun talking to him. There's a bunch of Americans there. Okay. Like not like America, the country in Empire, but like it was really nice because Orion's from the States, and it was really nice just kind of having like a bunch of Americans there who were like, it was just cool, right? And they were all from different groups. There was like a Wintermarker guy there, a couple of Navari from the States, and it was really nice to have like kind of people. Like, what's cool is, hey, it doesn't matter where you're from, people love to LARP, right? And I think there's kind of like that kind of like little cross-Atlantic vibe. I think there's like, it's nice to kind of hang with people who have similar interests.
Sure. And it's a fantasy world, right? It's so cool.
Really cool. A bunch of different nations were represented. Mostly Navarre.
Yeah.
So I can't remember Justin's current name, but he was there.
Oh my God, there's a really cool character as well.
Yeah, he's a really cool character. He's a son of a bitch. Yeah. Like, he was like, I walk in and goes, oh look, it's the ambassador to Yarm. There's like this big meme when everyone I know always yells out that I'm there as the ambassador to Yarm. It's always really funny because I'm like, hey, shh, don't tell everyone, you know.
Justin's a great guy.
He's just the best. Like, he's such good company.
Much charisma. Right?
Also, when you're like with like 30 people at a LARP, like God, you want Justin in that group, right? Like, he just makes everything better. So we arrive, bad weather outside. We're just there to chill. You know, I'm saying to Quill, my bodyguard, I'm like, hey, let's just keep things chill. You know what I mean? Let's keep out of trouble this weekend. We're just going to have a few drinks, relax. We're not gonna have to talk about Yarm too much.
Right.
It's gonna be a nice weekend, you know. And then
I love the way that like Dave / Skellett has this way of just like almost wandering himself into trouble. Like, and that's like the sense I'm getting now, right? Like, the thing is, I think there's a big part of you that likes the idea of staying out. Yeah. But then there's also the big part of you that likes prodding the beehive.
I feel after this event, like I'm the Murder She Wrote of the Empire, right? Like, just people keep dying around me, and then I'm like, oh shit, now I gotta solve the case.
Well, you had that whole murder with the previous thing, the previous player event where the guy died in the tent and you went and found his legs sticking up behind the table and shit.
Yeah, the guy that had his legs underneath the table was so funny. That was so good. Yeah.
Which event was that?
That was at the that wasn't Fallen Queen, that was Shadow of whatever, the one with all the spiders at it.
Yeah, that was Shadow of the Fallen Queen, wasn't it?
No.
Okay, we're getting it wrong, but that's a good episode. Actually,
people listening probably know our stuff better than we do. So basically, we were like showed up there, said hello to a few familiar faces. It's all really nice, and then like Ridian's sister shows up. Okay, and she's all like giving him a load of shit. Yeah. Where have you been for 15 years, right? And basically, his character had a family and stuff, and then went to battle. And then after the battle, it was kind of like they were told that he was dead, but he wasn't dead. He just fucked off, right?
Right.
So Ridian's got all this kind of like shadowy backstory.
He has a lot of shadowy backstory.
There's always something like what's going on. Like there's always like, yeah, he's a really nice guy now, but like there's always this kind of sense that like something happened in the past where it's just like, dude, like you're into some shady shit, huh? Like you. Like shenanigans, right?
Yeah, no, there's straight up shenanigans. I don't know how much I can actually talk about, like, but the conversations I've had with him,
You can probably talk quite a lot. This was Ridian's last event.
Oh,
as his character. So I think probably you can talk about it.
Yeah, no, so he had like a fair past with like banditry and stuff like that and being involved in some fairly shady dealings prior to all of this.
Yeah.
And talking to him about that kind of stuff was very interesting, and that his kind of relationship with like the now and the then, and at some previous player events he'd had some things he'd sort of set up where he interacted with various people, one of which was actually Bungle's character, his NPC character, about like his past cohorts of like ne'er-do-wells who he'd been kind of part of, and it's quite interesting.
What it was like when his sister asked me like, oh, what's Ridian like? And I'm like, yeah, he's a good guy. Like, he's really helped me out. Like, he's a good friend. It's like, I don't know so much about his past. Like, we've all got a past, right? Like, you can't judge someone too badly. But it was like, so this was all kicking off. They're two arguing with each other. And bear in mind, like, the meta of this is, I know someone's going to die this weekend. Okay, you go to an event with murder at the Wayhouse in the title.
Right.
Like, everyone's like looking around, like who's going to get murdered. And I just said to Quill, like, hey, we're going to keep out of this domestic stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's not get ourselves involved in this. And then this, like a postman, like this government official comes around and gives everyone a letter.
Interesting.
So everyone gets given like a their own little like thing. Okay,
that's cool.
So I open mine up, and it's on the outside. It just says, "This is a bloody rag." And I open it up, and it is indeed a bloody rag.
Okay.
So I say to Quill, like, what's this? Like,
is this supposed to be something that you found, or is this something that was delivered to you?
It was something that was delivered to me, I think.
And do you know by who? Is this, like, in any way...
It's in the post.
Okay.
So everyone got given different things. So obviously I don't know what everyone else has got. But I said to Quill, like, hey, dude, like, do you reckon this is a threat? Like, if someone's going to send you, like, you know what I mean? Like a fish in a newspaper, right? Like, is the gangster way of telling someone that sleeps with the fishes, right? Is this, like, you know, the bloody spot, like, your next type thing? I was just like, well, that doesn't look fucking good. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not a good sign.
So, like, I was talking to Ryan about it. I was just like, hey, keep your head on a swivel, okay? Like, we don't know what's going on. Like, keep your eye on your drink. Like, there are poisoners out there. Like, hey, they might want to try and kill me, you know? So then everyone gets these letters, and everyone's like, no one's really asking what everyone's going on. But then, I should mention the Nabar were running the bar.
Oh, amazing!
I love the Nabar.
Nabar are really cool.
They're really fucking
really
people.
friendly.
Great RP, but to have them as like the actual bar worked really well.
That's
awesome. So then this uncle shows up. Okay, and this uncle is like, he comes up and goes like, oh hey, and the bar lady's like, you fucking traitor, you fucking son of a bitch, like, and they're arguing, and she's like, you tried to fucking sell me out to the fucking the Druge or whatever and sell me as a slave. Like, it's all kicking off, okay, like at the bar. they're all yelling at each other, and I'm looking at Quill like, Jesus, like let's keep out of this, man. Like let's just keep ourselves to ourselves and not worry too much about it. And then so they're arguing, and then eventually the uncle's like, hey, why don't you just pour me a drink, and we'll forget about it. And he says, well, I'm still not cool with you, but I'll pour you a drink. Pours him a drink, puts it over the bar, and then we're really close to the bar, okay?
Right.
And then, like, me and Quill were watching everything. And then all of a sudden, the guy keels over. The uncle keels over,
right?
Okay? And everyone's like, you know? And then it's like, and then the investigator comes running up to the body and looks at the body. And I'm, like, trying to, like, memorize at that point, like, where everybody is. And bear in mind, like, we're crazy close to everything, okay?
Right.
So I'm like...
Yeah, your sphere of perception is like 5 feet.
I couldn't have asked to be in a better position to see what the fuck happened. And I had zero clue about who murdered the uncle, okay? Like, and the uncle's dead, okay?
Sure.
And the investigator's like, he's been stabbed.
Stabbed? So it's not poison?
Well.
Right.
And I'm like, what? Like, he's been stabbed? When the fuck did that happen? Like, was he stabbed before he walked in? And then he just kind of, like, what happened, right? Like, so I say to Quill, like, hey, we need to let's keep out of this, okay? Like, let's not get involved in any way with this murder that happened, right? So then there's this character called, there's this wonderful character called Elfie, okay?
Right.
Elfie is like this sweet, nice lady who we found out over the course of the weekend is completely insane. Okay?
Right.
Like, completely insane. But she went around and like took down notes of like, she said, oh, I need to take your names down. You have to write your name down on this piece of paper. And I was like, I don't want to write my name down here, you know? Like,
okay.
And she was like, oh, you kind of have to. And she gave me kind of a nod of kind of like, it's part of the game that you write your name down. I was just like, okay, fine. Right, I wrote my name down.
Sure.
And Elfie had this friend of hers with there called Pepe.
Right.
And she was trying to get Pepe to be recognised as a citizen of the Empire.
And what is Pepe?
What? What do you mean, what is Pepe?
Well, I'm assuming...
Pepe is a Navari through and through. He had a little hat on, he had a sword and shield.
Right.
He had a little tunic on, like a little cloak. Like, he was ready, like a real prepared little Navari.
Sure.
Like, a lot of people kind of prejudice against squirrels.
Right.
But yeah, she had a squirrel called Pepe and she was trying to get citizenship. And
amazing.
Speaking as the ambassador, I can't see... I'm not a priest.
Right.
So I don't know.
Sure.
But it felt to me that Pepe was...
ready.
Just as Navari as I was, you know? And if I'm a citizen, then so should Pepe. Pepe was awesome. His like, he had his little outfit was fucking... It was so cool, so intricate. Like, and literally... all of Pepe's gear, he had just gathered from other people.
That's industrious.
Yeah. Virtuous.
Yeah.
Extremely virtuous.
What was like Pepe, like OC, like a...
OC was a little cuddly squirrel.
Amazing. That's so cute.
Adorable squirrel.
That's so cute.
And
was it the League at E4, I think it was, where we had the puppet?
Oh yeah, that crazy, creepy little puppet that kept murdering
and wasn't
people.
that like trying to like apply for citizenship in some way or something? Wasn't
maybe.
there something? You know, there's a lot of this kind of stuff, which is kind of...
That puppet needs to be careful though, because if the puppet did become a citizen, then it could be tried for murder.
Right? Did it actually shank someone?
Well, no. Remember, it was found near that dead body, and the dead body had tiny little hand marks where it had been choked to death.
Right.
So just watch yourself around that puppet. Like, very creepy stuff. But yeah, like, so there were a bunch of clues, okay? And like, I don't know where these clues came from. I was trying to keep the fuck out of Dodge at this point, okay? Like,
Dave, this sounds like Gellert needs to...
No, I've got big fish to fry, okay? I can't get myself involved in every little murder thing that happens everywhere.
It happened right in front of you.
Well, there were very vigilant citizens. Like,
and where is your ambition,
like
sir?
Silver,
where is your ambition?
Like Silver,
okay.
I'm being vigilant and wise, keeping the fuck out of this, and not being like, hey, all I know is someone sent me a fucking bloody rag. Okay, like all I know is I might be next.
Right. And you ran away from the situation.
I didn't run away. I sat down, I drank some gin bongos, and we played guitar and sang songs, and it was lovely.
Mate. Oh, cool.
So they had clues. I don't know where all the clues came from, but they're all like all the sleuths were over at one table, and they're trying to work out what's going on.
Dude, that sounds amazing.
And I look over and I'm like, oh, that looks. So I say to like someone like, hey, what's the TLDR of what's happening here?
Sure.
And they're like, these are all letters from Elfie's sister to somebody else, or they were from Elfie's sister to somebody else, and like they are all like different points, but they're not dated. So it's like trying to work out in which order all these different pieces of paper.
And all of these letters have been then sent to you guys?
No. Elfie had these as part of like, she got given them or told that they existed.
Right.
So then they were introduced to the players as this thing. And this fucking tomb of information that they had was all the Splitter Spear family tree. It literally had like every single character, how they're related to each other, births, deaths, when they died, what year they died, who they're related to, and how. And it was just like this fucking rabbit hole that you could just fall down into, because it's all like in-game stuff, right? Like these are all actual characters that are like exist in the world. And it's like, oh my god, like so deep and like full of lore. We'll get to my part of the investigation later, but like, so these clues are out there. We're trying to keep out of stuff, and then like, then someone finds like a bloody dagger.
Interesting.
And then there's like a bottle of poison that gets found, but it's been emptied. So we're looking at like, did the guy get poisoned at the bar? And then did someone shank him afterwards? Like all these questions of like, who did what and where and why? And for Friday night, we just wanted to keep the hell out of it, and people seemed like they were really engaging in what was happening. No need for an ambassador to get involved in that, so literally just chilled out. I instructed Silver to be vigilant. And basically,
very good at that.
Yeah, I kept saying to him, like, he's such a competent guy.
Yeah,
like it's a shame he doesn't have a command of his own.
You know? I love you trying to stir up shit.
What do you mean?
He's
a very capable young man.
He's very capable.
He's polite.
I'm blessed with...
He's a good-looking lad.
Yeah.
He's charming. Yeah. He's very astute.
Yes.
It's a shame that he has to live in...
Yeah, he's held back, you could say.
Held back by a very flamboyant... he's in the shadow of a very flamboyant man, is all I would have to say about that. But, So we like hanging out, like Orion and some other people, and we're all like singing songs, and we have like the best time. Like a couple of the tunes were just magnificently good. There's this one song called "Pablo is Dead." Okay, and the whole presentation of this song is, the chorus is Pablo is dead, but they never found his head. Okay, and then the story is Pablo having terrible things happen to him, like he loses a leg, he loses an arm, and you're like, well, we know that Pablo's definitely going to die because it tells you in the chorus, but what the fuck happened to his head? And the whole verse and chorus goes all the way through telling this story.
Amazing.
Fuck, it was so good. I wish it was on SoundCloud. It might be, I haven't found it yet, but it was so good. I told a story. I was pretty cut at the time, but I managed to get the story out. I had a good time. There was what was the guy's name? There was another guy. It was a story about an in-character character. It was like a song, but each verse was like how fucking great this guy is and how fucking how heroic and virtuous he is and all this stuff like this. And it was just like I said to Quill, like, why don't I have a fucking song? Okay, like I need a song. And he went, I'm working on it. Just like, do you know how many words like rhyme with ambassador? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a hard word to kind of fit into a, you know, it's like, fucking figure it out, man. I need
words are capital.
I mean, let's face it, it's not going to be a pleasant song, you know, but I kind of wrapped up the night. We stayed up, sang songs, proper Navari shit, had a lovely time.
Yeah.
Saturday morning, the regret of the night before was very much in effect. I was very much hungover, but they did serve us breakfast. They had coffee.
Wow.
And like toilets with running water. So all of the free checklist ticked, ready to lop. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely felt amazing. So so this is when I really started getting into like what was happening on the table. I was like looking through the family tree and a few of the clues. Like one clue was like a letter that said like, oh, we know the guy's coming, so we'll be there to like sort it out or whatever from the Foxton cousins, right? So me and Quill were looking through this book and we're like, oh, and that's the Foxtons.
Yeah.
Right? And we started going through all this stuff and looking through all these different notes and like trying to work out who's related to who. And then I just started being like, oh, I should mention one thing that happened on the Friday. I mentioned that I've got this bloody rag. Okay. And they're like, hey, have you tried detect magic on it? And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, fucking magic. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I love your agnosticism to fucking magic. It's so good.
They were like, can anyone do magic? And I'm like, oh, not really, but like, I guess. Like, is there any other mages here?
He's like, every time you've got, like, you're literally a mage. You're literally a mage. And every time it's like, you're the person who gets called in to do the thing.
Of course it's fucking magic. The only magic can solve this, and guess who's the fucking mage nearby? So I had to do a fucking detect magic.
The most resentful mage ever. Just literally slams his coffee down. I'll do it my fucking self.
Then some other mages were like, hey, we can do this ritual on it. And I'm like, oh. And they were like, it's autumn. And I'm like, I don't have autumn, so I'm good type thing. But they were like, hey. So the orcs were like, you detect, like, while you detect magic on it, that this is the blood of the uncle.
Okay.
So we know it's his. And to order to detect it, it has to be like given freely is one of the weird things about it. Like, there's something about it. So that was like, ooh, clue, right?
So he gave you a rag, or his blood was willingly on the rag.
Yeah, and I would love to tell you. We'll find out what we did the next day, like on Saturday. But like, so I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like a little piece of, I wonder where this bloody rag came from, right? Or
so
why
it's like your detect magic skill was quite useful then.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess
right. That whole like thing that you specced into that like was actually like a reasonably sort of large part of your character.
It's not
that you
paralyzed,
kind of
though. It's not paralyzed, though, is it? It's not like that has very real world effects. I can empower people. That's pretty fucking cool. But like detect magic.
What? Look, you mean literally being like a whole modern age science kit that tells you that the blood belongs to a specific individual? Like you're literally future tech.
Fucking ritual magic, mate. Anyway, so then the next day, I started taking interest. We started looking through this big book. I'm starting to like match all these people, and I'm just like, "Hey, can we speak to this person?" And then I sat in this chair and was just like, Elfie, can I ask you a few questions? You know, I was that close to having a lollipop at this stage to do like the proper
right, yeah.
You know, I was like talking to her, and I was like saying, "How would you say your relationship was with the deceased?" You know, and she was just like, "Oh, I thought he was great. You know, I really liked the guy." And I asked questions like, Elfie, like, how often do you do something that you think is completely right, then other people around you tell you that it was wrong? Right. How often does that happen? And she's like, oh, like all the time. And I'm like, okay. Like, and so we worked out like, Elfie is crazy. By the way, me and Orion both agree she was the MVP of the whole fucking weekend. Sure. She was... she sang. She had the squirrel. She just the best character. Like the MVP of the whole weekend. Elfie, 100%. Right. So we questioned her, and then we were like, "Who else? Like is in the family or whatever?" We asked a few questions, and then we started asking different members of the family to come over, and like we interviewed them. What did you think of the deceased? Like, did you know this person was coming? Like, and just trying to find like just trying to get like a timeline of what had happened, who knew who, what they thought about them. So the only person we thought Elfie might have done it at first, but then we realised that she was the only person that had a positive word to say about the deceased, right? Who actually did like them. Everyone else hated them, but didn't really have the kind of like...
had circumstantial evidence to kind of remove them from themselves.
So obviously like the bar lady, obviously like she served him the drink, but she looked as surprised as everyone else that when he came into the bar. So
And
would she have like poison and then like, oh, I kept this poison behind the bar, right? Like that doesn't seem very plausible either, right? So
sure. What about the investigator and the postman? Who was?
He was like, I'm coming back tomorrow. This is Friday. He's like, I'm coming back tomorrow.
This is the postman.
Yeah, he's called Foreshadow. The postman and the investigator are one of
the same person. Okay, cool.
And they were like, we're going to come back tomorrow, and I'm going to take someone with me to deal with justice. So the idea was that we have to come up with a suspect. Right.
Okay. Right.
And then a lot of people, the majority of people were like, guy's a dick.
Yeah.
Whoever did it did us a favour.
Right.
And I was like, well, maybe it's more like, can we come up with somebody else just to send off? Right?
Okay.
Like somebody else that's... Can we just send off someone else who deserves to be dead?
Okay.
And then we like 2 birds, 1 stone...
Right.
No losers. So it's
that type of justice.
Winning. I'm shooting ideas.
You're spitballing.
I'm an ideas man at the end of the day.
Wow.
So carry on and like so. Then someone's like, "Hey, why don't we do this ritual?" And I'm like, "Ugh." So then they're like, "It's autumn," and I'm like, "I can't do autumn." So they got like a bunch of priests together, and the whole Friday they were like, we need to come up with like the mana for this ritual," and like Quill was like, I've got 8 mana. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. What are you fucking talking about? Shut the fuck up. It was just like, I got 8 mana. And I'm like, shut up, dude. What are you talking? Someone else will get the mana. Just shut up. So every time I went around going like, hey, has anyone got 8 mana? And Quill would be like, I got 8 mana. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, what the fuck are you trying to do? Hold on to your fucking mana. Hold on to your mana. We're broke, man. Like, what are you doing?
Orion and Quill, like, they're just so good. Like, it's been really great having them part of the Stride.
He kept pulling it out of his pocket. He kept pulling out like 8 mana out of his pocket.
He's really good.
So funny.
He really presses like the go button all the time on really like fun little quirks. Yeah, and I love it. I love stuff like that.
The thing was, I kept on banging on like, I guess we're never going to be able to do this ritual unless we can find 8 mana. Like I kept doing it, right? In the end, like I think like the people who were organising the event were like, hey, we've found some mana to help you out with the ritual type thing. And I'm like, oh, that's great. You know what I mean? Like, wow. Like I had
so Scrooge.
I had mana on me as well. Like, but yeah, like I got to hold on to my shit. I'm an ambassador. I don't even get paid for my job. I don't get paid. I don't get paid. I don't get paid. Okay. Anyone that knows me knows I'm the brokest hat wearing Empire. Okay.
But you don't even need those skills apparently. Like all those skills that you kind of spec into, you don't need them, right? So what's the mana for if not?
Well, in case I need to paralyze them.
Okay.
I got some mage blood as well, which re-ups your.
Okay, all right.
Hey,
yeah,
hey,
no.
Come on now.
Fair enough.
So I decided I'm going to solve the case, okay, by getting these mages to do this ritual. Okay, they go and do the ritual on the bloody rag.
Okay.
They have this vision where they're like, hey, it's the guy's blood. I'm paraphrasing here. But like and also Foreshadow, the fucking guy, came here with malicious intent.
Okay.
And I might have misinterpreted this a little bit.
Okay. And
just thought, I've solved the case.
Okay.
So I was like, nailed it. Like I investigated for like 15 minutes, solved the case. Okay, like busted it wide open.
Yeah.
Job's a good un. You're welcome, everyone. I like go to Elfie. Like, hey, Foreshadow killed your uncle. Okay, you might want to think about like she was like, I'll kill him.
So, sorry, who's Foreshadow?
The postman investigator.
Oh, okay, all right.
So we're like, hey, simple. He comes back tonight, and we just shank him. Okay. And then they're like,
I love your willingness to suddenly leap into mob justice.
So
it's so good.
So Gretchen, who was played by Nuala, actually, a big shout out to Nuala, who is one of the organisers to it. She's so fucking great. She's like, her energy is so good. She's so enthusiastic, like so fucking great. She was. Do you remember I talked about? I think it was a couple of sessions ago. I talked about when I went to God and how great the God team were at helping.
Yeah.
Nuala was the person who was behind the God team, and she was so. And it was hot in there, and it was sweaty. I was really uncomfortable being in there the time I was, but she was so positive and so helpful and so like
sure.
And she just breathes this all the time. Anyway, she wasn't. Oh, wow. And she comes over and is just like, it seems a little seems a little straightforward, like that it might be this person. I'm like, nah, it's good. And I was like, hey, okay, hold on. Why don't we question/torture him a little bit?
Right, okay, all right. Let's well, you mean ramp it down like 10%. Just take a couple of points off.
These detailed type people, it's annoying.
Look,
but,
you know.
So then they're like, okay, cool. We'll grab him.
Sure.
We'll do a bit of torturing.
Right.
Like cut his nose off. He doesn't eat his nose. Right. Ears, feet, toes. Yeah. You know.
Start with the extremities and work your way in.
Work your way in. Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then by the time you get to the innards, it's probably going to be.
I'm as bashful as you. I know how it works.
Yeah, I know how. Yeah, exactly. Like that guy I threatened when he'd already lost his, his
genitalia.
His little winky. But yeah, you always do that last. Where am I? Sorry, I got distracted by the little winky. Right. So I'm like, okay. So we grab the guy, we shank him a little bit, but not shank him. We torture him a little bit. I'm like, okay, case fucking closed. Let's get on the gym bongos, right? Like, this is really right. Like it's. Job done. You're welcome, everyone.
Bish bash bob.
Get one's here, like no net, just back of the field, just like I'm shooting hoops all day long. I can't fucking miss. Amazing. Like I'm like, I should, you know, glad thing I showed up.
You deserve everything you get, dude.
Hey, let's hear the story out before we start, you know, glass houses and all that. Yeah. Oh shit! There was this really cool game, which was there were 4 like think of it like little chessboards or backgammon, and they've got like all of them have like they've got 4 white stones on each and 4 black stones on each. Okay, and then it's like this really cool game where you make one move on one board and you have to do a similar move on a different board. Okay, and they're all like different cut. Like the one's white and one's black. Like they sure. So basically, you end up playing this kind of like 5D chess by trying to get all these pieces off the board by pushing it. Fuck, this game was good. I watched Silver play this young lady, and it was like, man, like you know when you're watching something, you're like, holy fuck, I'm glad I'm not playing this because that looks crazy complicated.
Yeah, is it quantum chess or something like that, or a variant of it that is?
I don't know.
All there's
I've never really seen it before. It looks like something like once I've seen it, now I'm like, hey, this is such an obviously cool fucking thing. But and it was funny because like Silver took the lead at the start. He might have done a little dance celebrating.
Did he?
He did do a little dance celebrating, and then this lady just came back. Like she just dug her heels in and just fucking like
good.
Oh man, it was like one of the most gripping back and forth. Like I was sitting there like she'll do a move and I'll be like, oh, I'm not sure about that move, and I'll be like, oh, she's actually a genius and I'm a fucking moron, right? That was the kind of thing. We were watching it. It was like such a good game to watch. Like I think I want to play the game, but significantly soberer than I was at the time.
Sure.
Really
games
good.
like that are tough as well because like you got to be careful about like applying too much of your own ego into it and stuff like that, and you just got to like take it like, you know what I mean? Like you got to ride that wave because it's hard with like a game that's very logical.
Are you saying that Silver needs to keep his ego in check?
No. I was talking more in general about playing a game like that.
I thought we were talking about Silver.
No, okay.
You weren't talking about Silver?
No.
Oh, weird, okay.
But
sorry, it's just the way you implied it by just going on.
That's so funny, dude.
What? One thing that was cool was Ridian. Oh my god, James is such a prick, by the way. Like, James Ridian does the Fancy Nuts podcast with his
which is fantastic.
Half, Sophie. They might do an episode on this, so go check out the Fancy Nuts podcast. They're really good. It was his last event, so he's like, he comes up to me and goes to me, hey, I'm not going to be going to Anvil anymore, but like, I want to give you something. And he's like, he gets out this, it's like an iron, it's like the head of a horse that's been like blacksmithed, right? You know when something looks blacksmithed, right?
Cool.
And curly hair, and it's like very heavy, very weighty.
Sure.
And he tells me about how basically like when he holds it, it's heavy.
Right.
And when he got it, he likes to think about like the weight of responsibility you have in your actions, right?
Cool.
And he was like, and that's why I want to give it to you, because like when you're doing your job, I want you to carry this and remember that the weight of your decisions.
That's really cool.
Really fucking cool.
Yeah, James
love shit like that.
Good.
Like that's like really fucking nice.
He's so good. Some of the conversations I've had with him are just so good. Like,
there's always like you can tell like he loves games, he loves RP and stuff like that.
There's like layers of conversation.
Yeah, and it's like something that I can now carry with me. Yeah. Like I like the idea, if I remember, I'll try and bring it out when I'm like at the Senate, when I'm doing other things, something that I can just hold and be like, okay, I'm holding this, and like to remind me of that stuff.
I think like when I think about my own kit and stuff, like some of my favourite things are things that people have given me because they actually tell the story of the journey of your character, right? Stuff you make yourself is fun, and obviously I'm proud of the things I've made and stuff, but like just have those little things that you pick up along the way is so cool. Just
a gift doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah.
But like if you have the right context for a gift, it can become
a contextualized gift, or like having some of like Sparrow's stuff, like, and being able to have that with me is amazing.
Great example, right? Like there's a couple of bits of stuff that I have that are like it's something I bought, but no, Skywise Fowl gave me the fucking Do Not Fear to Act. Necklace I have is like. Cool. That's like something I can talk to. Like I bring it up when I talk to orcs.
Yeah,
I'm like, Skywise Fowl is my friend. He's the orc that gave me this.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and it brings me back to that moment. Right, it centers my character.
100%.
Really good shit. So James gave me this horse, which was fucking amazing. I talked a lot about Yarm because they were like, people would be like,
"Did you? Oh, did you do that?
No.
Did you talk a lot about Yarm?
At no point did I go, hey, let's talk about Yarm.
Did you not?
At all.
No.
I promise you that.
Did you say to people that you were the ambassador to Yarm? And that was
a lot of other people did. This was because like I had a couple of things where I was just like, oh, he's the ambassador, right? And it was like, oh, someone will be like, where are you ambassador to? And I'm like, Yarm. And they're like, I don't even know where that is. I don't even know what that is, right?
Sure.
And I'm like, okay. Once those words leave someone's mouth, then Gallet's shifting into gear, okay? Like, I'm going to be like... So, starting off with the whole... They're slavers.
Yeah.
Let's start the conversation with slavers bad.
Yeah.
Okay? Let's put a pin in that. Slavers bad. And then we'll work on from there. We'll talk about our historic relationship with Yarm, what's happened in the recent history, what Yarm do, how Yarm could potentially help us, and how I'm trying not to be specific because I don't want to spoil the game, and how by Yarm not being our friends, how they might potentially hurt us.
Yeah.
And by the end of every single conversation, they're always like, "Well, that sounds really fucking important." I'm like, "It is really fucking important." Like, and I always like go speak to your senator, go to like the foreign service. Like, I kept telling people like, "I'm up for election next summit. Come run against me."
Yeah.
Or find someone that is good to run against me, right? Like, I'm really encouraged. Like, I think, like, I'm a big, like, this is a Davey first as well, but, like, fucking have a go. Like, come and have a go. Like, be a better ambassador than I am. Like, sort the stuff out. It's like, anyway, I won't bang on about it because it's active game, but, like, I'm banging on about it right now.
I think you just want to not run against nobody, right?
Yeah. Oh, that is also a major factor. I don't want to run alone. Oh, and then the weirdest thing happened, okay? So I'm hanging out, okay? And then someone comes up to me and goes to me, "Hey, you know Talis, which is your character's name?
Yes.
Had come up as a suspect." And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? How could Talis's name be brought up as a suspect?
Okay.
And what happened was, it appeared like someone had got hold of the list of people that were there and crossed their own name out and then written Talis Ashbourne.
Amazing.
And I was like, that's crazy, isn't it? Like, who would do that?
Right.
Who would have anything to gain? Silver was there.
Right.
Just something to think about, bud.
Hey. The handwriting wouldn't match yours, would it?
What do you mean?
No, like just
I can barely write as
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, it'd be difficult. Probably only a few people could read
Talis? I can't even spell it.
Can you not? No.
So yeah, no, I don't know. And it would imply that someone would have to have access to the piece of paper anyway.
Right.
How would I have access to that piece of paper? I don't know, man. Like,
amazing. No, because this is one of the things I got this letter after the event from Quill, Orion's character, And I was just like, I was reading through it, and it's like, and your name came up as a suspect. I was like, what is going on? Like, at this very moment, Talis is like deep in Brokeliand, like leading like a scouting mission. And
but
like,
people were saying,
and I was suddenly thinking, like, do I have to come up with like a plausible reason about why I was there and what I could?
But people were saying, like, he's a master of disguise, right? Like, Talis is incredible with like sewing and creating clothes. Like, he could look like anyone right now, and no one would have a fucking clue, right? Maybe he just left Talis as being like, well, I'm deep in Brokeliand.
Yeah.
Like, as a kind of, haha, like, you've got an alibi. It's fucking crazy, man. Someone's got it in for you.
So
it's
good.
Crazy.
Thank
another
you,
thing.
by the way, anybody who put that on it, it was just very sweet to be involved in anything. So thank you.
Good. By the way, your smut, by the way, is a collector's item.
Yeah.
Now.
I know it is. Yeah.
Oh, look at you. Your beaming face.
Yeah. So, that's a really interesting point, actually. It's interesting to see, like, especially now, I guess, I have more time and more kind of power in it. I think, like, I'm very, very pleased and happy with it all and how it's all gone.
It's a collector's item.
It's been great. It's so good.
It's big money.
To be approached and asked by people for bits of smut on you is so crazy. It's such a weird thing.
If you have Talis smut, you're sitting on a fucking gold mine.
Yeah.
Like, seriously,
they're a limited run.
Literally, there will be no more mate at this point, right?
Well,
like,
I'm thinking of producing some more, but like, you've got to keep it a very limited supply for sure. It's going to be very limited. I want it to be exclusive.
If you have the piece of paper, I'm not going to give you the paper I printed it on. Like, but if you have that run. Yeah, hold on to it. That's
first edition.
You're going to retire on that. Do you know what I mean? You're going to be a smut addict that's going to want to bite your hand off for it. But yeah, really funny to have that whole bought up and then be like, oh my god, like this
I've
is actually...
been approached by people for actually like not just one person, like a couple of people.
Yeah.
About like reproducing it and like, you know, did you have the image and stuff?
If we should do it, then we should do it like a second run.
But not even people associated with us.
No.
Like, I've had, like, that's the weird thing. Like, I've had people I don't really know. Like, it's kind of weird.
The smut economy is out there.
No, there is a whole... I suddenly opened my eyes of, like, there's a whole group of people who collect this kind of stuff. And it's almost like... It feels like those kind of collectible card games.
Oh, yeah.
Where you're trying to get, like,
but you're a jewel in the fucking crap. Like, you're legit... Like, there's the lack of Navari smut out there, and it's like, it's good, right?
Good,
like, it's
good.
great.
No, it's great, but that's cool.
Right, so, then it comes to the evening, and, like, the foreshadow comes back, and Elfie is like, I'm gonna stab him. And I'm like, yes, but wait.
Right, yes, but wait, okay.
We're gonna question him first.
Okay.
So I approach him at the bar, and I'm like, hey.
Just an inquiry. Yeah. Like, because I assume there are other people doing other investigations at this time, and other people have other opinions than just the one that you're running on?
If there were, I didn't hear anyone.
Okay.
There are no other suspects brought up.
Okay. Because, like, what are you getting a sense from the wider group that your opinion is the one that the group is kind of going with?
Well, there was a thing where someone said to me, you should probably ask the ritual mage about how auto magic works and how accurate the readings are.
Right, but you're kind of like ritual
magic. So I went
magic,
up to the ritual,
wavy,
and I went up to what's his name, Silk, and I was like, hey, tell me about auto magic. Like, how reliable is it? And he's just like, oh, it's pretty reliable. And then someone else was like, so it gives you like accurate information every single time. It's like, well, no, it's usually a metaphor. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean it isn't accurate? Like, what? Fuck do you mean? It was a bloody rag. We did the fucking ritual on it, and it said foreshadow had ill intent. Like, what the fuck? Fucking slam dunk, right? Like, the murderer, right? And he's like, well, it doesn't really work that way. It's not a country. I'm like, fucking ritual magic is bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh my god, now Elfie's gonna fucking stab foreshadow, right? And she was like heading towards him with a knife, and I was like, hey, Elfie, why don't you just chill out for a second there? You know what I mean? Like, we can figure stuff out, right? Amazing. Oh yeah. Oh, the other thing about me talking about Yarn was Silk was like, oh, I got burpy. Sorry, everyone. Silk was like, hey, he kept calling me Gellert Ashbourne, the saddest Navarre.
Wow.
Because it was like, poor Gellert talking about Yarn and nobody gives a shit type thing. And it's like, it's so good. I love it. I want like a little like like a little book made of like Gellert the saddest.
I really
Navari.
like the idea of like there's all you want to do is talk about Yarm, and all the world wants you to do is do ritual magic, and you have like literally an innate gift for one. And you're made to eat shit on the other.
me and Orion were talking about like, you know, one of those 1970s cop shows of Gellert Ashbourne, like where I'm like the most reluctant murder investigator ever, and they're like dun, 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 and it's just like, hey, we need someone that can do magic. Do you do magic? And I go, not really. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I mean? Like having a fucking anyway. Getting sidetracked. The murder is revealed. Okay. Foreshadows like, hey, I've done an investigation.
Okay.
And he's like, so, and he goes bloody blah, and there's no solid evidence on who it could be. And then he goes like, well, I could have done it.
Right.
And he explains how he could have done it.
Sure.
And I'm like, son of a bitch, right? Like, I was right, okay? Like, and then they're like, also, there were like 3 other people that there was this big convoluted, someone bought the poison, someone did this, someone like set this up, another guy, what's his name? Willem was like there, hired by Varushkins to fucking stab him.
Okay.
Like, and I was like, I vouched for him. People there were like, hey, isn't it weird that there's a solo marcher here, just happens to be here when a murder happens? I'm like, no, Willem's fucking sound, dude. Like, he's fucking great, right? Like, right. So they were like really suspicious of him. I fucking covered for him because he's a homie, and then was like, no. There, and he stands up being like, yeah, you fucking mugs, I fucking murdered him. What? And like all this stuff, right? But what I think actually happened was, I think someone else poisoned him. I think Foreshadow was involved in the poisoning, and then Willem, just to get paid,
right,
stabbed the body.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Because he wants to get paid. There was no way we were going to solve that murder mystery. Okay? Like, everyone knows that runs like pen and paper D&D or like any other roleplay game knows puzzles are one of those weird things in roleplay games where people either just immediately solve it, or the simplest thing can take an hour of people hitting their heads and not enjoying themselves. I personally don't think there was... Technically, Gellert was right, because I still think Foreshadow was involved.
Right.
But, so I'm still want to know on murder investigations.
Okay, in your own opinion, though, in your humble own opinion.
No, I think that's pretty...
sure.
I think
that's bang on, is it?
Factual, yeah.
Right.
So Will used to think so as well. So yeah, this is a non-sanctioned event.
Okay.
So none of this counts.
Okay, sure.
Basically, so that's one thing to really bear in mind about all of what I'm about to say. Was like kind of like anyone that was involved in the murder didn't actually do a murder, but then they were like. They were all like, hey, but the guy was a bastard, so it doesn't matter who killed him. Right, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, bear in mind, as a person who has like murder threats put out them, I don't want to be in a situation where like I'm out at a fucking party, then everyone fucking kills me, and then they're like, hey, the guy was a dick anyway, right? And everyone's like,
I'm just saying.
Guy was a dick. I'm just saying. Fuck that guy. So I was like, hey, can't we have a bit of law and order here? Like, this is terrible.
Put the love you want into the world.
Yeah, right? Terrible. Hey. Yeah, exactly. Be the change, right? So then I'm like, fuck, this isn't right. Like, this is terrible. So Elfie's like, hey, I want to fucking stab somebody. And I'm like, that's very true. You definitely should stab someone. And then Ridian's like, a fucking marcher coming up here and killing a Navari, even if he was a piece of shit, and then gloating about it in front of everyone, something's got to be done.
Yeah.
I was like, you're right. You should probably kill him.
I love the way that you're like, you should probably do this.
Yeah. Also, the other thing I was worried about
Gellert doesn't get his hands dirty. He just finds like emotionally compromised people and points them in the right direction.
Even if I was right and Elfie killed him, then I was worried about the fact is that she would be like, why did you kill him? And she'll just say, Gellert Ashbourne told me to kill him.
Yeah.
And that's why I had to stop her earlier on, because I was like, oh my god, like I could be culpable for this murder. Like,
could you? So
I didn't want to be involved in that.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what the legality is like by just suggesting someone should do an action and then do it. I think there's a court case in there. Anyway.
Sure.
Anyway. So Ridian's like, I'm not fucking gonna kill this guy. So I was like, sweet. So I sat down with Willem and I was like shooting the shit with him and I was like, hey, that's a lovely saber you got there, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, can I have a look at it? And he handed his sword over to me.
Right.
And I was holding it. and I held it for like an uncomfortably long amount of time, and like Rillian's right behind me,
right,
and I'm like, dude, you shouldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm giving you like
a golden opportunity.
Here it is, like on a platter. I gave the sword back to him eventually, and it was just like, I was like, and then William went off, and I was like, what the fuck? And he was just like, OC, like, the problem is it's a non-sanctioned event, so it doesn't count. So I was like, I thought about it, but it doesn't actually make any sense. I'll do it, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, fair enough, actually. That makes a lot of sense. But that's, Jim, if that was a sanctioned event...
Yeah, you did.
You did.
You did.
100% did. You come fucking around in Navarre. Like, if you... What's it called? Was the chart with fuck around and find out, okay? Like, fuck about and find out. That's what you fucked about and you were about to find out, okay? Like, ridiculous. Fucking with Navarre like that, son of a bitch.
Hanging by his toes?
Yeah, absolutely. The rest of the night was full of song and story and wonderful jimbongos and generally just like getting served at the bar. Really wonderful experience. I hope they do another event. Like I said at the very start of the episode, there's a couple of things I need to work on, but like just the enthusiasm for the people involved, all of it was really, really fun.
The setting
really nice
sounds really amazing.
Just really nice. It was just
so good.
Like 30 people hanging out, having a good old icy piss up was just good times, you know? Like, let me put it this way. Even Nuala came out on Saturday at like 7, and she had notes like, come out and sing to make sure like it's a Navarre event, right?
Sure.
We were already singing.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's people just having a really good time. It was like there's one lady there that was hanging out with Orion, and she was just so passionate about music, and I talked to her a little bit about it. It was just I really love that community. Like it really made me kind of like, I don't know, big feels, really nice.
I mean, it must be nice to... Because obviously you've had a couple of other events outside of Empire as well, and going back and playing Gellert a bit and just kind of jumping back into those shoes must have been nice as well.
Yeah, and it's like I said, coming up to the election this year, it's like, I quite like walking around being ambassador, but like...
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you? You quite like it when people are like, it's the fucking ambassador Young.
It's both cringe and amazing at the same time.
You love the cringe. I think you've learnt to embrace the cringe.
I have. I think
your own cringe.
I think it's because I felt so uncomfortable about it before, and now I'm kind of embracing it. And I've waited until a year in.
And you should.
To embrace it.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, my precious now. Now I'm like, oh, now I want to keep it, you know?
Yeah. No, you either are the meme or you live for long enough to see yourself become the meme.
Well, you are living testament to that, my friend. But yeah, to finish up, like I guess we'll never know who put your name on that piece of paper.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
Never know.
Who could it be?
Who could it be? Amazing. No, but yeah, incredible.
Thank you for listening, everyone. Thank you to our patrons who are continuing to support us. There should be we should have already released our Christmas special, but just a reminder, we do have a raffle going on our Facebook page. Go check that out. It's going to be pretty awesome.
It's going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah. Have a great time. Bye-bye.
Straight to the Empire.
Straight to Navarre.